Good morning, good afternoon, and a good evening to you, Dr. McKay. My name is Alex, and I'm going to be presenting about my assignment 3 on data visualization. This is the table of contents that will be discussed throughout today's presentation. Firstly, a brief introduction about my topic. The hospitality industry has been an economical pillar for most countries as it supports journeying locals and tourists who require a place to stay for the night. The industry has continued to evolve with technology playing an important role in shaping the development over the years. The recent rise of the internet has given way to a new form of operations and communications with customers. As a result of this digital revolution, solutions such as online booking systems and information sharing through digital platforms can provide hotels with the necessary tools and to promote their business, attract new customers, and stay competitive in the market. This is my research objectives for the study. My study aims to analyze hotel booking data using data visualization techniques in order to identify key patterns in customer behavior and hotel performance. I have 3 research objectives in total. The first is to analyze the customer cancellation trends over time, which will help the business become aware of the contributing factors to these cancellations. The second objective is to examine how the daily rate, the average daily rate, ADR, varies across different hotel types and customer segments to find out where the main revenue source is coming from. And finally, the third objective, which is to understand the customer booking behavior by analyzing the relationship between the length of stay and revenue in order to discover the optimal pricing and stay duration for customers. Next, the data pre-processing steps and data modeling. One of the first steps to take in data pre-processing is to remove any variables or attributes that provide no relevance to the objective of the analysis. The dataset needs to be cleaned and prepped before any analysis can take place. In my dataset, variables which include anything related to the customer's personal information, such as their name, email address, and phone numbers, will be removed to reduce the clutter in the dataset. The next step is to remove any missing or null values from the dataset. The variables that I found in my dataset, which are age and company, contain these missing and null values. Error repair can be conducted by a human involvement to fix this issue, but considering there are 120,000 data entries, variables such as these will be excluded from the analysis. To further enhance the analysis, several calculated fields will be introduced into the analysis to better support the research objectives. The field I will add is the total length of stay, which combines the weekend nights and weekday nights into a single variable. This allows for a better understanding of the customer's behavior, particularly when analyzing how long the guest chooses to stay in the span of a week. The second calculated field focuses on the estimated revenue, which is derived from multiplying the average daily rate ADR by the total length of stay. Additionally, arrival date was created from combining fields within the dataset since there's not a proper date for the arrival of customers. Next, I'll be moving on to the exploratory data analysis of my dataset. In total, I've done 6 visualizations, 2 for each research question. For the first research question of how do customer cancellations vary across different time periods and market segments, in this stack bar graph, you can see in the blue is the confirmed bookings and in the red are the cancelled bookings. The market segment is also displayed as labels for both cancelled and confirmed bookings. So as you can see from this stack bar graph, in 2015, it started off pretty well with a certain amount of bookings and a certain amount of cancellations. In 2016 is the hotel's best performing year with the most amount of bookings, but with the most amount of cancellations as well. In 2017, it decreased a little bit, but it still maintained pretty well. This entire dataset has been given is over the span of 3 years. For the next chart is a pie chart, which shows the total amount of bookings, which is segmented into the different market segments available in the dataset. On the right-hand side, you can see that there is different filters, where if I click on it, it will disable the group that I click on. For example, if I only want to see the group of total TA, it shows the total amount of bookings and the total amount of cancellations in their percentage forms, but if you hover over it, you get to see their actual amount. For the next question of how does the average daily rate, the ADR, vary over time and across different hotel types and customer segments? In this double line graph, as you can see, the orange represents the resort hotel and the green represents the city hotel. The resort hotel, as you can see, there are peaks at roughly around August, where it is prevalent that there are seasonal booms where the resort hotels are in demand for customers. After said peak, they fall off tremendously because they're no longer in demand, and there are no longer holidays for the customers to enjoy. Whereas in the city hotel, they are on a steady climb, although not as performing as well as the resort hotels at their peak. They are slowly increasing their ADR and potentially even rivaling the resort hotels at their peak in the near future. This is a tree map which is done on the ADR of the customer type. So the most prevalent one is the most darkest one based on the variation of color, is the transient group, which is a solo traveler, which pays roughly around $107 dollars per day to the hotel. As you can see, it's the other groups are not so dark and not so prevalent because they are more of a group, which are multiple people, which they are most of the time subjected to discounts provided by the hotel, so they stay longer, compared to a solo traveler, which still pays the most among all of the customer types. For the third and final question, research question, which is what is the relationship between customer length of stay and the revenue? I've done a scatter plot here. As you can see, there are a lot of the most frequent ones are the red dots, which is the transient group, which supports the claim from the previous graph. Even going to 69 days, which for some reason someone has to pay a lot of money for. It's around 7,500. And finally, for this last graph, it's a stacked bar chart, but you can see the total amount of bookings and how long their stay is. So from this graph, the most prevalent one you can see, they are from the customers only stay from 1 to 3 days roughly, and then it falls off right after because the customers just, I guess, don't want to stay anymore during the time. And again, the most frequent stayer is the transient group, which supports the claim from previously. Next, I'll be moving on to the dashboard development in Tableau. For the first dashboard I've created, I've put both the graphs for the question 1 and half of the graph for question 2 for a better viewing model. So you can see on the top right, there's the market segment filtering for the first 2 graphs, where I can add and remove certain market segments and it will update in real time based on the filter that I've applied. The same can be said for the second dashboard, where you can see there's the scatter plot graph, the tree map, as well as the stacked bar graph at the bottom. So it's the same thing, but instead of market segment, we have customer type, where if I remove, let's say, transient, which is the most prevalent one, all the red points are gone. Transient is gone, as well as in the scatter plot is also missing. So I can do that for all of the different customer types, and it'll display across all of the 3. Finally, the summary and conclusion to this analysis. In summary, this study analyzed hotel booking data to examine customer cancellations, pricing behavior, and booking patterns using data visualization techniques in Tableau. With the help of multiple visualizations and interactive dashboards, the data can be displayed in a more presentable and understandable manner to the masses. There are some improvements that can be made to this analysis, where more variables are used and actual financial values such as revenue and profit are given at the start rather than having to create them for better analysis. From the 3 research objectives, the hotel management can learn to improve the areas that are weakened, maintain the good ones, adjust their pricings appropriately for the seasonal boom, and finally, cater their services to a selected group for a better response. Thank you and have a nice day. That's all from me.